Hi there. Today's theme for Parrot Awareness Week 2024 is flight. I've written an article titled "The Flight of the Parrot," describing why flight is so important for parrots. It's important for many reasons. It's the primary form of travel for parrots. They fly. In the wild, they'll fly for miles to find food, water sources, nesting sites, and it's utilised in evading predators. Parrots have evolved specifically for flights over long distances. Their anatomy and metabolism are designed for flight. They have pneumatic bones, which are air-filled bones, which make their skeleton a lot lighter, which enables them to take off and fly successfully. They have an enlarged sternum called a keel bone, where all of the strong chest and wing muscles attach to, which are needed for flight. They have a very efficient respiratory system, consisting of lungs and air sacs, which enables them to extract more oxygen out of the air they're breathing while they're flying. Flying burns calories and builds flight muscles and is considered an important factor in the physical health of parrots. And it also plays an important role in your parrot's mental well-being and confidence. If a parrot has been wing clipped and has never learnt to fly, it may be uncoordinated, off balance, or may lose confidence entirely with their ability to fly. So it's quite important and natural for them. So in reality, in the home, many parrots do not have opportunities to fly or indeed exercise at all. Many are confined to cages, and often cages far too small for their species and not allowed any out of cage time. Many species are prone to health conditions due to this lack of exercise. They can become overweight, which in itself causes further complications. They can become understimulated, again leading to health and mental and behavioural issues. In an ideal environment, it's your duty as an owner to provide opportunities for flight to facilitate all of the listed benefits from previously. You should grant daily out of cage time to stretch their wings as a bare minimum. Obviously, common sense, you need to make sure that when you do this, it's safe for them. There's no open windows that they might escape from, no predatory animals in the vicinity like cats or dogs or reptiles, no boiling pans of water, no ceiling fans, and just bear in mind that they like to chew, so if they're out of their cage, you need to make sure they're supervised and safe. And if your parrot's not used to coming out of the cage and you want to work on it, that's great. But just bear in mind that they might be a bit nervous or anxious of that, a bit phobic of handling initially, but don't be put off by that. It's something that you can definitely work on, and it's just sort of desensitizing them and allowing them to become accustomed to their new routine. If it's something that you think you might struggle with, there are many charities, professionals, organisations that we're willing to guide you through that process. So you can reach out to anybody here at Parrot, we can point you in the right direction. But I think it's important to consider that if it's something that you're not willing to try, you're not willing to allow your parrot out of cage time, obviously you'll have your reasons for that. It's not great for your parrot, and it might be worth thinking about whether the parrot's right for you. If you can't provide them with their basic needs, is a parrot right for you? You need to deliberate over this, and if you need it, obviously there's help for you to either work through the process or discuss changes. With how important and natural flight is for parrots, I just want to briefly address wing clipping. So there's an awful misconception that wing clipping means that your parrot won't be able to fly or escape. The actual fact is that it only really reduces their ability to take off successfully. If a gust of wind takes them, they can glide for some distance. If they end up in a tree, they won't really be able to fly back down. If they try, they can end up with, they'll crash land and can end up with some really horrible injuries, including split keel, which is really horrible, where the keel bone literally breaks through the flesh from the impact of the fall. It's a risk it's an unnecessary risk. There's far safer ways to get your birds outside. Like, it's great that you want to take your parrots outside. It's really good for them. UV light, natural UV light, fresh air, environmental stimulation. But there's lots of safer ways to do it than wing clipping. Aviaries, backpack carriers, harnesses, free flight training, dog crates. There's a lot of safer ways to do it than wing clipping. Most reports suggest that parrots that do escape by accident, they are more likely to be reunited with their owners if they're fully flighted, because they're able to fend for themselves, they're able to evade predators, whereas wing-clipped birds, they can't evade predators. They might get hit by a car, they might hurt themselves trying to land, they'll might not be able to fly to find food and survive in the wild while their owners are looking for them. It's not a great practice. There are some medical conditions or problems that may require your bird to be wing clipped, and obviously that would be a really thorough discussion with your avian vet, discussing the reasons why, and there'd have to be, you know, a really strong case for it. Most people won't do it. Birds naturally should fly. If you have a parrot and you don't want it to fly, I find that questionable. Some breeders suggest that having a young wing-clipped bird means that they're easy to train, or that they're better for bonding reasons. Not really sure that there's any facts behind that. You're really just reducing their ability to move away from uncomfortable situations. You're not really helping your bird train. You're not helping your bird trust you. You can still bond with your bird when they're flighted, and it's a confidence thing for them as well. They need to be able to know that they can move away from situations when they need to. But I just wanted to touch on that really. Have a read of the article, there's more information about wing clipping on there. If you do decide that you want to get your parrot outside, get some fresh air, some UV, some natural environmental stimuli, and you want to learn a little bit about harness training, I have detailed that in the articles. Have a read of that. I've written that myself from my own experiences training my own birds. The harness brand that I use is Aviator, because I find them really durable and comfortable, and that my birds accept them quite readily. Just bear in mind there are different harnesses available, so just have a think about what parrots do. They can manipulate things with their beaks, so if there's any harnesses with clasps and things, they will be able to get them off really easily. But yeah, Aviators I find really durable, really easy to fit, and they do come with I think it's a training DVD or access to some sort of training articles. But yeah, it's a really nice thing to be able to do for your birds, to be able to get them out of their cage, out of the house. But yeah, if you're interested, have a read of the article, and it's sort of a step-by-step guide of desensitization, sort of the basic principles of getting your bird to accept a harness. Also in the article is a little bit about the basic principles of free flight training as well. I've not done it. None of my birds are candidates for various reasons for free flight training. But if that's something you're interested in, the basic principle is sort of just getting a really solid recall training with your bird. But there are businesses available, online training, where you can have sessions to train you and your bird to be able to free fly. And also people offer flight rehabilitation courses, that if your bird's not a very confident flyer, will help sort of bring that natural instinct out in them again, and then you can then progress on to free flight training outdoors. But yeah, it's not a necessary part of parrot keeping, but it's definitely like a higher standard, and a lot of birds enjoy it, but there are some birds that aren't suitable for it or aren't candidates for it. Like one of mine, I have a little Senegal, and he's so little, I would just be so stressed if he got out or got attacked by a bird of prey. But I'm sure he would love it, and he's probably the only one that's a real candidate for it, because he's a good flyer, a very confident flyer. But I don't want to take the risk with him, because that's just my personal preference. But it is a great way to exercise the bird. It's very natural for them, and it it is very beneficial for them. But so it's like gold standard of parrot keeping, but it isn't necessarily an essential part of parrot keeping.